My first time attending HeroesCon was great. I saw some of my good friends like Omar and Hunter. I met a bunch of my favorite comic creators. And I also found out that Daniel Warren Johnson does not like me. And it's probably my fault. Howdy, I'm Kurt Williams, and today we're looking at my haul from HeroesCon 2025, which ended up actually only being about half of the box that I carried around the whole time. It's easily the most books I've ever brought to get signed at a convention, and it's the most books I've gotten signed at a convention. And by the time that I got everything signed, I had like no money left over to buy stuff, so my haul is actually mostly signatures and only about this many comics, so we'll just go through these really quick. Everything I got here was out of a dollar bin, and it's all just filling in holes in my collection, like X-Men 171, X-Men Legacy 254, Uncanny X-Men 360 with the holo cover. That must be valuable, right? Uncanny 425, Uncanny 444, Uncanny 445. An issue of Tandy Computer Whiz Kids that I didn't already have. I'm collecting all of these. Issue 1 of The Black Dragon by Chris Claremont. That's the only issue I was missing from the series. Issue 11 of Wolverine Volume 2. That's a whole I had. Incredible Hulk 298. Avengers 194. And then all of this is Marvel 2-in-1 that I got for $1. I barely have any of this series, which you know if you've seen my video where I go through the letter M in my collection. But heck, for $1, these are in fantastic condition. We got issue 25, issue 60, 73, 74, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 91, 93, 94, 98, 99, and 100. All of those were in the dollar bin. You know that I don't have enough money to go out there and buy keys and graded issues and stuff. I love finding bargains. I'm an ambush predator when it comes to the dollar bin. And that's all that I really bought other than signatures. And if you've never been to HeroesCon, or if you've never really been to a bigger comic convention where the artists come and sign things, that's like the entire reason I go at this point, is to meet the creators who have made the amazing things that I love to talk about. And it's always interesting to see which creators are super engaged and excited to be talking to their fans, and which ones are pretty tired of it, and which ones you've apparently pissed off. And I'll get to Daniel Warren Johnson in a minute. But for those of you who can't get to a comic convention, I'm assuming that showing you what books I got signed and talking about the creators that I met is going to be kind of cool for you. You know, kind of like a living through me type thing, or maybe I'm full of myself, I don't know. So anyway, one of the first things I got signed was The Death of Captain Marvel, Marvel Graphic Novel Issue 1 by Jim Starlin. I was a little surprised that he wanted to sign the interior instead of the cover, but he said he wanted to see what printing it was. This is a great work of art, one of the best contained storylines that Marvel has to offer. I also got issue 4 of Marvel Graphic Novel signed. That's the first appearance of the New Mutants. I got Bob McLeod here, and I did not get Claremont to sign it because I was busy having him sign other things, which I'll get to. And the third and final Marvel graphic novel I got signed is Super Boxers. That's issue 8 by Ron Wilson. He wrote it and drew it, and he also signed it really nicely. He was a super sweet guy. And I know this is a comic strip, not necessarily a comic, but I grew up on and love Foxtrot, and I was super excited to see that Bill Amend was gonna be there. He signed the interior as well, and he also drew a little Quincy the Iguana down in the corner. So cool. I'm so glad he was there. As I get ready to start my own comic strip, which you'll hear about more soon, I've been digging into my favorite comic strips, and this one, as well as Pearls Before Swine, are two of my biggest influences. Another guy that I was super excited to see there, which I actually didn't know was gonna be there, and if I had known, I would have prepared more for sure, but Andrew Kroenke was there, and instead of getting another copy of Bloodrick signed, because I already have all 3 issues and the trade, I bought this little shark book, and he signed this for me, and it's great. Kroenke is great at drawing sharks. He's also great at drawing barbarian stuff. If you have not read Bloodrick by Kroenke, it's fantastic. I've made a bunch of videos about it. Just go find one of those. Here's something that you probably haven't heard of yet. It's Morgan B. Herron's Frankie Boy Monster. I didn't realize Morgan B. Herron was gonna be there. I've been wanting to talk to him on the channel for a minute because he's only 20 years old and he's already making these pretty good comics for someone that age. I think this issue came out before he turned 18, which is nuts, stupendous, mind-blowing, remarkable to say the least. So I was happy to pick up issue 1, and we will probably be having a conversation soon. Another pleasant surprise for me was Xander Cannon, who's the artist on T-Minus. This is a comic that I read in 9th grade history class about the space race. The illustrations of rocket ships in here had a huge impact on me, and I drew a project about this that was just covered in rocket ships, based on these drawings. It was a significant stepping stone in my development as an artist. And not only did he sign it, but he drew a little astronaut in there. How cool is that? Next, I met Andrew McLean, who created Headlopper. Headlopper is amazing. One of my friends showed me this a few years ago. If you like Adventure Time, if you like Conan, if you like cartoons in general, this is solid cartooning work. It's funny, it's serious, it's flavorful, it's elegant. It is masterfully and effortlessly done, and I'm super excited to hear that he's planning a 5th volume. McLean also not only signed it, but drew a little Agatha the Witch head in there. That is so cool. And while I was talking to him, I also picked up this one-shot Agatha, A Tale of Three Witches, which is kind of supposed to hold the fans over until volume 5 comes out. I read it already, it's really fun, it's definitely more of the same. His art style is very unique, very simple, but very profound. It's not Studio Ghibli style, but it has a similar tone as Studio Ghibli style. He also drew a little skull in there. I love it. 2 of the first signatures I got while I was there were Trish Forstner and Brad Simpson, which means that I now have all 4 signatures on this interior page here of the main creators. Stray Dogs was a very important comic of the last 10 years or so. If you haven't read it, I recommend you check it out. They also did a follow-up series, Feral, which is about cats, which is pretty good. And this trade paperback, Arca, was recommended to me by the guys at Infinite Realities when I told them about my comic book, and they said this was very similar, so I picked it up, and Jesse Lonergan was there, got him to sign it. Very cool guy. I'm super excited about the next project he has coming out. All right, now we're gonna get into the really big creators who have been around forever, starting with the guy that I went there to see specifically, Chris Claremont. I waited in line for 2 hours. It was the very first thing I did. I got my favorite issue of Uncanny X-Men signed. That's issue 230, the Christmas issue. Issue 201, which is the first appearance of Baby Cable, but I don't care. It was one of the first issues that I ever had in my own collection, and I already had it signed by Leonardi at Motor City Comic Con, so it was fitting. And I was really debating what to get signed for my 3rd book because I really could not afford to get more than 3 signed by one guy. But I got Marvel Fanfare issue 1 signed by Claremont because Michael Golden was there, and I figured it was a great opportunity to get both signatures on this issue that I love so much. Unfortunately, I was really excited when I finally got to the front of the line, and I think I interrupted Claremont at least once, and then he just kind of stopped talking. I never know what to do when I meet these artists that I love so much because I'm so excited. I want to tell them how much I love their stuff, but I know they're probably sick of people spewing information at them all day, so it ends up being awkward. Or maybe it's just me, I don't know. Anyway, I got Marvel Fanfare issue 1 signed by him so that I could also get it signed by Golden, and then I went to Golden's table and he said that that issue in particular he was charging $30 to sign, which I can't afford, so instead I got issue 4 of the Nam signed by him, which is one of my favorite covers from the series. And you can see way down there is the itty bitty scribble that I paid $20 for. Thanks, Mike. Another living legend, Roy Thomas, was there, and even though I didn't wait in his line, my dad was kind enough to hold my book and get it signed for me. I got issue 89 of the Avengers signed by him. There's his signature down there. This doesn't have a lot of sentimental value to me, but I think it's one of the best covers I have from his run on Avengers, so that's the one I got. Up next is the legendary Tom DeFalco. We got issue 1 of Dazzler and issue 261 of The Amazing Spider-Man. I love this Charles Vess cover, and I figured I would get both of them to sign it while I was there, so I got Vess here and DeFalco there. But I was far more excited to get Rose by Jeff Smith and Charles Vess signed because this book is part of the Bone Saga, which had such a huge impact on me. He also signed on the interior cover there, and we chatted very briefly about how I did my proposal at Old Man's Cave and how he was so excited to work on Rose after he visited that park with Jeff Smith. I also got issue 12 of Wolverine signed by Kevin Nolan. Just love that cover. Issue 1 of X-Men signed by Laura Martin because she's fantastic at coloring, and every time she's at a con, I'm gonna keep getting things signed by her. For Kyle Starks, I'm sure nobody is surprised that I got Pine and Merrimack issue 1 signed because I loved this series. I talked about this series in a bunch of videos. It's excellent. He was a super cool guy. This issue I actually received as a subscription when I was like 13. It came in the mail, and I think I was too young to appreciate it at the time, but now I really like Grant Morrison's Action Comics run. I got the first appearance of Superman from Earth 23, signed by Gene Ha, and he also did a little remark for free. How cool is that? I got issue 7 of Geiger signed by John Pelletier. He does the interior work here. It was the story with Zigzag in the zoo with the like radiated animals. Love this issue. And then here I've got the 2 issues that I had Daniel Warren Johnson sign. It's issue 1 of Murder Falcon, which is my favorite story of his, and issue 9 of The Moon is Following Us, which is my favorite cover from the series. Now, it turns out that he had seen and remembers the video I made where I said that The Moon is Following Us is mid, which here's the thumbnail. I did say it was mid. I even titled the video Daniel Warren Johnson's new comic is mid, which may have been laying it on a bit thick, admittedly. But it took me totally by surprise that he recognized me and remembered the video I made, because look, nobody knows who I am at these conventions. There were a few fans who recognized me and said hi, and that was awesome. Thank you so much. Makes me feel so good. But as far as comic creators go, like, nobody knows who I am. So I really wasn't expecting him to know, because he's insanely busy, right? But he called me out, and then I was all frazzled because I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know what to do, because at the time I did not remember what I had said in that video, because it's been so long since I made it, and I didn't want to say something that ended up being wrong just in case he had watched it like an hour before that. But I went back and watched the whole video after the con, and I gotta say, I was pretty darn nice the rest of the video. I mean, you can go watch it for yourself. I was just praising his work most of the video, saying how much I love his work, how much depth it has, how his work was kind of outshining Riley Rosmo's work when you put them right next to each other, because Johnson's work is just on another level. And yes, I did say that the plotting was not his best work in that issue, but that was just issue 1. For the record, the series did get better. So what disappointed me most about that interaction is that I was really excited to meet him in particular, because he was a teacher before he was a comic creator, and as most of you know, I'm gonna start my first year of teaching this year, and I was hoping we could maybe talk about that a little bit. And man, I stood in his line for an hour, and the entire time I was watching him act so friendly and taking pictures with everyone, and I was thinking to myself, this is the coolest comic creator I have ever seen. And I'm not even making that up for the sake of appearances here. I have genuinely loved everything I've learned about him, and I have genuinely been blown away by just about everything he makes. But I would consider it a lack of integrity and borderline disrespectful to not honestly critique all of his works on their own. I can't just say I love everything that everybody does all the time. My opinion doesn't mean anything if I just say that. I genuinely thought that issue 1 of The Moon is Following Us was mid, and I stand by that opinion. So the guy who was also at his booth who said to me, clickbait isn't worth it, the clicks don't last, can leave me alone, because I meant what I said. And you know what? If Daniel Warren Johnson does not think his book was mid, I would love to have a conversation with him about it. And I'm gonna be such a good listener and so open-minded it'll make your head spin. Anyway, finding out that I really pissed off one of my favorite comic creators took the wind out of my sails for quite a while, but I did get some more signatures, like Steve Mannion on Fearless Dawn the Bomb issue 1, that's a crazy issue. David Finch, one of my favorite artists, on the New Avengers issue 11, first appearance of Ronin, which I got for $2 on a Sentinel Comics claim sale. Arthur Adams, of course, I got him to sign Fantastic Four 348, the first appearance of the new Fantastic Four, and Uncanny X-Men Annual 10 is the first appearance of the X-Babies and also the issue that Longshot joins the X-Men, so very special to me. We have this Chiarello cover here, issue 29 of Wolverine. I call it the lipstick Wolvie cover. I had Wolverine Essential Volume 2 as a kid, and this cover is burned into my brain. It's just so creepy. The aura is so strong. And I think this is really cool. Ben Caldwell illustrated a few covers of Justice League Unlimited, which was one of my favorite titles as a kid. They were delivered to my door, and you can tell I read the heck out of this. The cover is totally detached. It's all ratty. I took it everywhere I went for years. So he signed that one with a regular pen down there, and he also signed issue 13 with a pen, which I have never seen a comic artist do before. Next, we have an equally impactful comic on my childhood. It's Fantastic Four issue 533. I had Mike McCone sign this one. I read this issue so many times. Straczynski's writing is fantastic, and McCone's art is a perfect complement. It's concise, it's funny, it's got depth and movement. It's just perfect for Straczynski's writing. And I also got issue 528 signed because I just think it's a dope cover. For Ron Lim, I got X-Men 2099 issue 1 signed. I've had this since I was like 8. Carl Potts signed my absolute favorite New Mutants cover. It's Kitty Pryde in space, and he told me a great story about it. He said he had drawn this cover just for fun, and it was a totally different creature up on her shoulder there, and he had posted it up on his cubicle in the Marvel bullpen, and Chris Claremont saw it and loved it so much he told him he would write a story based on this picture if he changed it to Kitty Pryde and Lockheed. And now I buy this issue every time I see it for $1 because it's Just a gorgeous cover. From Joe Kelly, I got issue 1 of The Amazing Spider-Man signed. From Klaus Janson, I got issue 196 of Daredevil. That's a cover done entirely by him. From J.G. Jones, I got issue 1 of Dust to Dust signed. I was really surprised to see nobody at his booth because he's a fabulous artist. He's incredibly impressive. His artwork is the perfect aesthetic for this Dust Bowl era series. It's great. From Bob Hall, I got issue 217 of The Avengers. That's a fantastic issue. For Terry Cavanaugh, we got issue 118 of Web of Spider-Man. I think that's the first appearance of the Scarlet Spider. I don't know. I got this out of a dollar bin when I was like 11. I also had him sign issue 100 of Web of Spider-Man because I also had that one signed by Alex Saviuk at Motor City Comic Con. Double signed. I also added Brad Simpson's signature to my Local Man issue 1, which is previously signed by Tony Fleece. I got 2 more Uncanny X-Men issues signed by Greg Land, just 2 covers that I think are really nice for no reason in particular. Don't judge me. Issue 17 of the New Mutants I got signed by June Brigman. I love this cover, and it's not just because Bill Sienkiewicz finished it. And the last issue I have to show you is the infamous fridging issue of Green Lantern. I got it signed by Daryl Banks, and he actually told me that when he drew this story initially, he did not have a door on the refrigerator, and they had him draw a door to make it less grotesque, but it ended up making it look like she's all chopped up or something. So that was a neat little tidbit to learn, and I think that's it. It was a really busy day. I was there all, 8 hours? I even stayed there late. I totally missed Nick Dragata. I didn't have any time to stand in Jerry Conway's line. I never saw the Allreds. Al Milgram I never saw. I don't think Jim Shooter was there. But overall, I think it was successful. I think that next year I will do it differently. I'll probably go all 3 days and actually hang out at the hotel and get to hang out with my friends there. Because I did feel pretty rushed having to get all these signatures and do whatever shopping I could squeeze in before time was up. So if you were there, let me know what books you got signed, who your favorite creator was, who was there. More stuff coming soon, I promise. I'm super busy making things. So till next time, I'm Kurt Williams, and you are somebody else.